It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. So, I've bought a number of things recently in the last couple of months from somebody locally here who unfortunately had a house fire, and a lot of their keyboard stuff was kind of impacted by a bit of water damage, bit of smoke damage, that kind of thing. They weren't impacted by fire directly, otherwise they obviously wouldn't have been salvageable or sellable. And so, they were selling them relatively cheap, and stuff was tested to be working and things like that. But I wanted to get hold of them because it would allow me to have projects as well as to help them out in, getting past all of that kind of stuff. So what I picked up from them, and you'll see a whole bunch of different videos of different things from me buying stuff from this person, but today's video is about some coiled cables. So I actually normally don't go out and buy cables. It's not something that I need because my daily driver is a hardwired keyboard here. At work I do use a cable, but because it's a USB mini B plug to my down bubble, I don't even bother getting a custom cable because most custom cables these days are going towards the USB-C, right? And a lot of the newer keyboards are all just coming out in the USB-C socket. But I do have some things that are USB-C, and it is the way to go forward. So I picked up two cables that they had on offer that were part of that fire sale. Let's have a look at some coiled cables. They do have Aviator connectors, and I'll talk through what I plan to do with these going forwards. So here they are. So I've got two cables from them. One of them's a black one with a coil, a straight 90 degree. So normally it would sort of plug into your keyboard depending on wherever it is, and then you've got the rest of the cable going to the standard USB-A side, right? So there's not really much visible damage as such on this because it's black, so you can't really tell if there's any sort of real major damage. But what's really notable here is the fact that the connector has quite a lot of corrosion on it. So I would expect that there was probably a bit of water and moisture involved in a house fire, and effectively that has impacted the connector. Now I haven't actually tested these, but that's okay. It's not really too much of an issue. I would expect that if I tested them, even if they didn't work, I could potentially open them up, re-terminate them, and that would be okay. So these are 4-pin canon plugs. I call them canon plugs simply because, or barrel jacks, because of the way that we call them at work, whereas a lot of people call these Aviator connectors because in the aviation industry, you get a lot of these type of connectors where you actually have to screw lock them in to ensure connectivity and they won't be accidentally pulled out. I'm not quite sure what's happening here, but the top of this seems to have some kind of either residue or surface damage. I don't know if that's lube or other. I'm not going to touch that with my finger, but I'll probably give it a clean at some point in time. There is a locating divot here at the top, because there is a corresponding locating a physical pin to ensure that the actual 4 plugs go into the right way. So, if you don't have that in, it won't go in, and then when it lines up properly, it'll sink in, and then you can plug it in, screw it on, and that way it won't accidentally disconnect. So I don't know who made these cables, but they look and feel well made. They've got, good thick sort of heat shrink on the ends there. I don't really want to have to take these apart, but if I absolutely had to, I probably could, and I'd get some new heat shrink and then, see what I would do with it. So that one's got corrosion on the connector. Okay. The second one, which is this white one, has suffered a bit of smoke and fire damage. Now, it's actually really hard to see on the camera because of the lighting, but it's actually really grey. It's meant to be quite a white exterior on that text flex over the internal core, but there is actually a lot of visible sort of smoke and grayness to it. Now, what this means is, well, it's dirty, right? It's dirty. And for some people, obviously, they wouldn't like that. They wouldn't appreciate that. So, actually, let me see if I can turn off, just mess with, there we go. All right. No, it's still probably the exposure's, yeah, gone a bit crazy there. But you can kind of maybe see that it's a little bit on the grey there. But in any case, that's a visual defect more than anything else. And there is like a little bit of corrosion that is actually happening there. The corrosion is not as bad as on the black one. So there is some of that there. And once again, this is just a straightforward, looks pretty much very similar. Connector is very similar, but they've gone and put the heat shrink over the top of that one on this one, on the black one, because you can see the black and the white one, the heat shrink is there on the black, but not there on the white one. So once again, it's just a straightforward 4-pin, and you can even see that the surface there does not seem to have that stuff on it, or the slight melt, and it even shows you the 1, 2, 3, 4 orientation for when you're actually wiring these things together. So what am I going to do with these besides use them at some point in time with a USB-C keyboard? Well, for the black one, I am actually probably going to try and paint this. You can see already out there that people do custom painted connectors now. Typically they'll do it in like Cerakote or powder coat and things like that. I do have my little spray gun and acrylic sprays, which I did that tofu ages ago, which I still haven't fixed up yet. But since this has already been corroded and damaged, I'll give it a really good heavy sand and try and scuff up the surface so it actually has more bond and grip to it. I'll mask it off around it appropriately, enough distance from the actual connector and of course the terminals inside, and then I'll hit it with the primer and then I'll paint it with something so that it adds, I don't know, a bit of accent to the black. And we'll see how that turns out. And for the white one, this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but I actually want to stick it inside my ultrasonic cleaner. So part of the reason why this was being sold so cheap is the fact that they kind of wiped it down and they tried to clean it, but because the actual fire and smoke got soot inside the Tech Flex, they weren't able to clean it off fully. So if I'm very careful and I ensure that the ends of this don't actually fall inside to the liquid, I want to try putting it inside the ultrasonic cleaner, and seeing if the ultrasonic cleaner will actually cavitate out and clean up this cable and make it look nice and bright and white again. There isn't really enough like really bad corrosion on this for me to want to paint it, but I could do the same treatment as I will hope to do on the black cable here if that works out really well and it sticks well. And then on the other side, the straight side of this, I'll probably also stick it into the actual ultrasonic cleaner as well and try and get out some of that smoke particulate if it works. So not quite sure when that's going to happen, but you know me, I have a lot of projects on the fly, and hopefully I'll get to doing both of these cables up, and then we'll see it in follow-up videos, and hopefully, you know, learn a bit about doing some of those things more into the future. So there you go, 2 cables ready for a bit of action, ready for a bit of fun. There you go. Alright, well that's it for this video. Hopefully, you know, we'll be able to produce some more stuff relating to these soon. If not, well, you know, you'll just have to hang out for that. Maybe have the bell button pressed so you'll get notifications on when new videos come out. Of course, if you've come to this channel somehow, you're brand new to the channel, you like this kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button so you'll always be able to stay up to date with whatever weird and wacky things that I do. Well, thank you very much for checking out this video, and of course, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.